Anyway, cheer. Hey, Joshua, cheers.
Cheers.
Mm. Are you ready?
We're gonna find out.
Number 20 is my number 20 is Disclosure. Joshua talked about it earlier. It's a documentary about how trans and non-gender was it non-gender conformity or was it not gender? Basically person
Non-gender conforming.
not gender conforming people have been represented in media, and it's very fat. It's very well done. It's fascinating. It does not pull punches. It straight up punches you in the gut every time. You're like, oh, does it get better? No, it doesn't get better. It's getting, yeah, it's getting better in the sense that like we're not on fire, but they were still burning. So it's
Paris
very
is burning.
wonderful. It's so wonderful. It's great. Did the poster come up? I can't see.
It is, yeah. The
Oh,
poster's
that's
up.
the one. It's on Netflix. Check it out. And if you don't like it, I'll cut you. What's yours, Josh?
My 20th favorite movie. I'm gonna pull up the poster now.
Oh, oh, here she comes. Oh, here she
It's
comes.
fine. You can use whatever pronouns for me. I don't have a preference.
No, no, no. I'm saying the movie. Here she comes.
Oh, yeah, suppose. I've forgotten what it is. Oh, I remember now.
Yeah.
It's Promising Young Woman. What's this? A movie that came out in Christmas. Josh, did you go to a theater to see this? I did not. Oops. And there's a. Gonna close that real quick. It automatically went into my next movie.
Oh no.
So let me fix that while I talk about Promising Young Woman. I like this movie a lot. I didn't love it as much as I hoped I would because it was my most anticipated of the year. And it's not. I mean, it's top 20, but I would say just barely, to be honest. But I liked it. It's very well made. It is very well scored. I immediately, after watching it, bought the vinyl soundtrack of it,
Wow.
and it's like a very cool like white bone vinyl with like confetti rainbow colors like sprayed all over it. I'm very
Mhm.
excited. It looks fantastic. But yeah, it's a good movie. I want to rewatch it because I feel like I went in with so much anticipation that I might have scored a little harsher than I needed to. But I like it. Yeah,
Hey, my number 19 is that where we're at?
we
Is
are at
Black
number
Bear.
19.
I loved Black Bear. I sat with this for a while. I didn't watch the film right away after. I sat with it for a little bit. Every performance is great in this. It's two films essentially, but they connect sort of. If God, it's hard to describe what movie it is without just saying just watch it. Um, I really enjoyed what I saw. I feel like it's hard to pinpoint exactly what what it is, but it's so good. The performances are great. The acting's Aubrey Plaza is so good in it, and it's parallel stories sort of. And Yeah, they're parallel stories, but but they're not really connected outside of ma- different ways of telling the same story. So it's great. Check it out. What's your 19, Joshua?
All right, so your 19 was Black Bear. My 19 is The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
Loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too, more than I thought I would, because when we sat down to watch it, I was very much like, oh, I love Jim Cummings, I love Thunder Road, but this is a movie that is like so weird premise wise to me that I didn't know how I would feel about
Yeah,
it.
but it
And
was
then leaving the
Halloween.
movie, it was Halloween.
It was Halloween, so you had to give it to me.
I had to. Leaving the movie, we weren't in a theater, but like stepping away from the movie after finishing it, I do immediately, I immediately felt like I liked it more than you did.
Yes,
Because you
and I
were
think,
like, "Oh, I liked that," and I was like, "Ah, I really enjoyed that. I
but
loved
I think
a
it's
lot of
because
it."
my expectations going in were extremely high.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
part of it.
and
The
I loved it.
expectation
And again,
bias.
yeah, but yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, high recommendation from both of us.
Yeah, check it out. The Wolf of Snow Hollow. It's on VOD. My 18 is I think you might also have this somewhere on your list.
Maybe we'll find out.
We'll find out. Is Transhood? It's on HBO Max. It's a documentary about. It's kind of boy. It's a movie Boyhood. in the sense that it's a documentary though, and it follows several young kids who are all trans, and it is beautiful. It's heartbreaking. It's funny. It's sad. I love all these kids so much, and it follows them through about a few years, and
Yeah.
it's surprising. It's great.
It
I
goes a
don't
lot of surprising directions.
Yeah. You're probably going to talk about it more, but I absolutely loved it so much. Um, I I shot a sketch while watching it because I have ADHD, so I get to multitask to I don't know if you noticed me move around at Twitch a lot, but so I was shooting a sketch while watching it, and I have so much B-roll of me in a Santa suit setting up shots and like focusing cameras, and it's just my face, and you can just look at me looking at the screen like, and it's just me dressed as Santa, just like mesmerized. And then also like in the middle of middle of like doing a bit, I'll like I'll dead stop in the middle of it, like stare at the screen to be like, oh my god, those poor kids, you know. So
Mm.
it's fantastic. It's fantastic, and I really love it. So yeah, check out Transhood. What's number 18 for you? Ooh, I almost watched this the other day, and then I watched all of Search Party instead. So
My number 18 is Animals, which, similar to Search Party, has um,
Alia Shawkat.
Alia Shawkat. Animals is a very interesting movie that I cannot wait to watch again. So when you watch it, I do want to watch it with you.
Yeah, watch it there.
I enjoyed it very much, which I didn't know anything about it until like the last 2 weeks of December when I heard about it, and then I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I'm gonna check that out." And then I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, this is surprisingly incredible." Big fan, big fan. I don't really know what to say about it other than two best friends who've been best friends forever. One of them is a little more straight laced. One of them is a little more reckless, and it's about sort of their relationship going forward.
Uh huh.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Great, I agree. Oh, I mean, I don't agree. I haven't seen it yet. I was gonna watch it, and then I was like, because I was also texting a friend about Search Party, and I'm like, fine, I'll watch Search Party, and then I binged 3 seasons in 3 days.
Yeah.
So number 17 is First Cow. What a beautiful movie. I think this is such like a perfect friendship on screen. Um, I can't wait to rewatch this. I'm waiting for it to come out somewhere where I can rewatch it. It's a beautiful film. I read the book after, so
Did
we
you?
read, and the book is not good. It's like Jaws, where the book
Yeah.
is awful, and then the movie's so good.
Well, I remember reading the Wikipedia of the book immediately after watching the movie with you because I was like, wow, I really like that movie. I never want to watch it again, I don't think, because
Mhm.
I don't think I would like it as much the next time. And
Yeah.
also, it's just so slow, which I think is the only sin for it.
Yeah,
But it's a very good movie, and I read the description in the on the like on the subway on the way home with you. I looked at the Wikipedia and I was like, oh, it's an entirely different story.
yeah. They literally. So I read the book. I honestly didn't even finish it. The movie is the 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 middle 90 pages
Mm-hmm.
is what the movie is. And then there's like this framing device, and also the movie ends where the book doesn't end, and the book kind of continues where it kind of, why I stopped reading was because I'm like, I don't, these characters, I don't need to see these characters go any further. You wrapped everything up here, so
Mm-hmm.
stop it. But yeah, I yeah, I love First Cow. I love First Cow. Great performances also.
Yeah.
What is your 17?
My 17 is Born to Be.
Wild?
Born to Be. This is another movie about trans people. This is a movie about the I don't remember the exact wording of it, but it's the first like ward or something for specifically for trans people and trans medical issues. It's opened in New York,
Mhm.
and it's about both the struggles of the people who are getting medical treatment, not just for trans issues, but for like issues where they would otherwise be ostracized for being trans, like a woman who was born or assigned male at birth and dealing with prostate issues and having to go to the doctor and be like, yeah, I'm trans, so I have a prostate, I need my prostate checked. But this is a place they can go and just be themselves without having to worry about
without having
being
to like freak out and
yeah, without being freaking out
ostracize.
people or ostracized or
That's
being
beautiful.
judged. It is. And it focuses a lot on the cis doctor who I have so much respect for because he was sort of judged by his peers who were like, "You want to take over that department?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's a department I think these people need help, and I'm a doctor. I want to help people." And they were like, "What are you, trans?" And he's like, "No, I just want to help people. We're doctors, right?"
Yeah.
Um, it's incredible. It's beautiful.
My number 16
Mhm.
is Welcome to Chechnya, which is a fantastic documentary. So upsettingly beautiful. Um, it's so great. What you didn't mention before, what I thought was fascinating is they put digital masks on people, so it's like a deep fake sort of for the
Yeah,
whole thing. So because a lot of these people are still on the run, and the Chetnian government goes out of its way to like silence these people because they're committing atrocities. So they're they have these masks on, and there's a beautiful moment in the film when the I would say the main character, in the sense that like the one of the main guy they follow, finally decides to publicly come out so they UN can sue, because the UN doesn't have any witnesses, because anytime they get a witness they are either murdered or they're too afraid to come out. um, he finally comes out because he wasn't a Chetnian citizen. He was a journalist who just happened to be passing through
yeah,
and got like basically kidnapped um, for being gay. And it is just it's one of those things too. It's just like um, it's heartbreaking to know that that's still happening.
yeah.
It just hurts so much to see this. So yeah, it's on HBO Max. I think it's one of the most important documentaries ever made. So yeah. What is your 16?
My 16 is Straight Up. It's a movie you talked about earlier.
It's Katie Finley.
Okay.
That's her name.
Okay.
Sorry, but she's incredible. That's why I need to bring her up.
Yeah, it's a great movie that's both a lot of fun and also really sweet and awkward as fuck. Um, the lead actor, this gentleman here, is the director of the feature. I don't think he's particularly great at acting,
I completely agree. Yeah, but
but
he
I think
is.
that it's so well written, it's so witty, it's so snappy, it's so just fun and interesting. Uh, there's another movie. When we watched it, I remember comparing it to something we'd seen and being like, "Man, I love this for the same reasons I love X." Um,
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was, but it's so reminiscent and familiar in a lot of ways, and I think other people will recognize that same sense that I recognized, even if it's not the same movie that they recognized as I did.
yeah, but it's beautifully quirky.
It's so quirky and like not quirky in a way that overstays its welcome, like Miranda July's stuff, in my opinion.
I really don't like her, but yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
I
it's
would
not like
compare it
that.
to her. I would compare it to Miranda
I
July.
would not
I
compare
haven't
it to
seen her
her.
movie that she put out this year, but a big reason why is because I've not liked the thing she's made. So I've never, you know,
Yeah.
gone my way to see something she's done. But yeah, I agree. It's a really fun movie.
Yeah. Your
Uh,
next one?
can we do this one together?
Is it the same one for both of us?
It's the same one for both of us. We did our number 15 is the same one. Three,
The
one, The
The
Invisible.
Invisible Man.
What a great film.
I apologize for using this poster. I like the other poster better.
Yeah.
Patrick,
Well, this poster fucking sucks. I don't know what it is. I can't see it.
I know. This is the one with the handprint and then her up close, like a
Oh yeah,
traditional
yeah.
horror movie. I like the one where it's like her in the corner and then the rest is just
Oh,
darkness.
and because that's the best part of this movie for me is
Yeah.
how they work with the empty space. Lee Winnell has become one of my favorite directors. I saw the first Saw movie and I was like, this is a fine movie. And then when I saw Upgrade, I was like, fuck, this is what Venom should be, is Upgrade, right?
Yeah.
And then this movie is so good. I can't wait. He's doing I think he's doing another horror movie for Universal. Um you talk about Invisible Man some more, because I want to look it up
Yeah,
because I
I loved this movie. I went in with very low expectations because the trailer to me and the premise to me seemed very much like cash grab. I was not focusing on who the director was as much as you were.
I
Um,
wasn't until after. I will say that I did not. It wasn't until after where I was just kind of like so excited about
yeah, But you knew it was him going
I
in.
did, yeah.
So you were like, there was a bit of excitement there, even if you weren't as into him. I was very much like, oh god, the Invisible Man. It's gonna be just a thing where she's being stalked by this invisible guy, and I don't think it's a perfect movie because there are issues where, and this isn't the movie's fault. There are so many times where it's like movies like this and Unsane and a few other movies that deal with gaslighting and stuff. You can't really do a movie about gaslighting and not have the heroine or the lead, it doesn't have to be a woman, but the lead realize that they are being gaslit and they're not crazy, because that would be so unfair to that character. So
Yeah.
movies like Unsane and this movie, there are parts where it's like, oh, is she losing her mind? Is she not being stalked? And it's like, no, of course not, because then it would be a waste
Yeah.
of time and also fucking awful.
Yeah. And this movie doesn't play that game.
Yeah.
You're aware of what you're seeing.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is about other people not believing her, not about us not
Yeah.
believing her as an
It's
audience.
so well made. I was really excited for this movie because honestly, like, look at I love Universal monster movies. Outside of that, The Invisible Man is one of my favorite books of all time. It
Hmm.
was my favorite book growing up. I read it yearly. I really love The Invisible Man, and I was worried because I hate when they do modern day shit. And I thought it was going to be like something like Hollow Man, but this was so well because it wasn't about the Invisible Man as much as it was about a survivor story, and Elizabeth Moss should be nominated for an Oscar for this. She shouldn't win, but her performance, it's so much of her in a room conveying terror, and it's such a great performance. She is one of the best actresses ever to live. I love this movie so much. I just remembered what his next film is and why I'm so excited. Lee Whannell's doing The Wolfman,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to see what that is. He
It's going to be violent, that's what we know.
It's gonna be violent. And then hold on, it's in Ryan Gosling is the Wolfman, and I am so excited. I don't want to alarm you guys, but I love werewolf stuff, so I can't wait. And he's become my favorite horror director. So this is
Okay.
because also Upgrade. I don't know if you guys seen Upgrade. Upgrade, it like I said
Yeah.
before. It's
I
like
need to rewatch it. It's incredible.
it's Little Shop of Horror, but without the fun stuff.
It's what Bloodshot should have been.
It's what Bloodshot should have been.
And we remember, even
Venom
when we
should-
saw Upgrade, we were like, this is what Venom should have been. And then
Yeah.
seeing Bloodshot, I think we left and we're like, this is what this also should have been Upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. It's so incredible. And the main guy in Upgrade too. I forget his name. He's the guy
John
who
Marshall
almost-
Green.
I think so. I think you're correct.
He's the one we've jokingly called Discount Tom Hardy.
Discount Tom Hardy is, yeah, but honestly, he's so good in that movie, and it's Be More Chill with blood. So anyway, number 14 for me. Are you ready, Josh? For number 14? My number 14 is Shithouse. I was so surprised that I liked Shithouse. It did not look like a movie that I was going to enjoy, just because it looked like a bunch of whiny kids at college. And the first 20 minutes of the movie, I remember I was texting you. Oh no, did I freeze?
No,
Are you-
you're good.
Or are you just that still?
No, I pressed something. So basically, I have it set up so that the slides change when I press a specific key on my keyboard.
Uh-huh.
But I made it just a normal key. So when I was just typing Upgrade Actor, it started like flashing through the slides. So
Oh,
I was backing up to the slides.
Spoiled it?
I didn't get that far ahead for you. I got much further ahead for my own.
Oh
But-
no.
Logan Marshall Green. It's not.
Logan Marshall Green.
Yeah.
Anyway, Shithouse is a great movie. The woman, the Dylan, oh, what's her name? Dylan, something. Dylan, the main woman.
Kimmy Schmidt woman.
From Kimmy Schmidt. She also plays Sephora or whatever. And Kimmy Schmidt.
Sephora.
Yeah. She's incredible. She's so good. She was in something else I watched like right after also, where I was like, oh my god, I forgot. She's such a good actor. And the guy who stars in it also directs it. I texted you like 20 minutes in, and I'm like, God, this guy's such a fucking bitch. I can't stand him. And then by the end of it, I'm like, I want nothing but the best for these two. It's such a good first film.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. It's a first film. The guy wrote it, directed, and stars in it, and
Yeah.
it's a great movie. And what's your number 14?
My number 14 is Spontaneous. Spontaneous is a movie that I did not have any interest in seeing. I didn't know anything about it at first, but I didn't have any interest in seeing because the poster is so god awful, as you can see, Patrick.
Oh yeah, look
Charlie
at it.
Plummer's
It's goddamn
face.
shit.
Charlie Plummer's face
Is
looks
this the
so
one with the heart?
photoshopped. This is the one with the heart.
Yeah, I don't like the poster at all.
His face looks so photoshopped in the poster.
It's like the poster for Warm Bodies, which is another like
Well,
romantic.
I don't care about the heart issue or like the blood splatter or any of that. It's literally just his
No,
face
it's
that
just
bothers me.
the photo the Warm Bodies poster, and I'm not talking about the one where they're looking at each other.
Mhm.
There's the one where it's like he's on one side, she's on the other, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
so it like they also use like a bit of like drop shadow between them because they're definitely like it's definitely stills from the movie. So yeah, um I hate this poster. So I like you going into this thought it was gonna be garbage.
Yeah.
But
But you went into it because I made you watch it because this is a period of my life where I was off my medication because the sertraline, which is Zoloft that I take right here, I was out of it at the time. And I needed a refill, and my psychiatrist unfortunately couldn't prescribe me some for a while. And it was my fault for not having gotten it sooner.
Yeah.
But there was like a week or 2 or 3 that I was off my pills, and what
A week or 2 or
happens in
3.
me.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Time is a blur. What happened to me and what happens to me whenever I go off of them, which is never
You get
intentional.
very emotional.
I get very emotional because what they do, I'm usually a very hyper emotional person, which I didn't realize growing up, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But once I started taking those, it lowers the highs so I don't feel as manic, but I also don't feel as depressed. It evens me out.
Yeah.
So I watched this movie like early on when I started getting withdrawals, which make me hyper emotional. So I was already like this normally, and because I was off the pills, it went from that to like that. Off the screen levels.
Yeah.
So I cried a lot through this movie. And there's another movie later on that you'll see that I cried even more to.
Yeah.
But Spontaneous, I cried a lot during, and I love the movie. It's a beautiful movie. I stand by it.
I don't think anyone knows what it's about because we never said it. Basically, what happens is this one senior class in some random high school in America, kids start blowing up, and not like school bomb, just like they spontaneously combust.
Yeah.
And there's no reason why, and all the kids are frightened. They don't know who's going to be next, and it is a great movie, and I love the ending so much.
Me too.
And that's all I'm going to say.
I love the ending.
Check it out. Definitely check it out. Catherine Langford is surprisingly amazing in it.
Right?
I usually don't like her in things.
I don't know her for much other than pretty much it does videos for what's that series she was in on Netflix? 30 Reasons Why? 13 Reasons Why?
But she's also the best friend in what's that movie with the thing? Love, Simon, and I don't like her in Love, Simon.
Yeah, and I really hated her character in Love, Simon.
Yeah,
Even
So
more
I was
so in the
surprised
book, which got a
I was
spin-off.
surprised how great she is. And Rob Ewell has a really great moment in it, which out of nowhere. But and Judy Greer, I think, is also she's the mother. So
I think
yeah,
so,
great
yeah.
movie.
Surprise cast. All right, your next movie?
My 13. My 13 Reasons Why. Who Let the Dogs Out? Was at one point I think my number 2. The movie's like an hour long. It's so enjoyable in every respect. It's just so. It's so good. It's so good, and I just love. I love because basically it's not like as Josh spoke about it already today, but he what I got from it essentially was it's a guy who started out like a bit and then he gets really into it and it just turns out to be this fascinating like puzzle of who wrote the song Who Let the Dogs Out, and every time you think you solved it there's another wrinkle, and then it's such a beautiful cathartic moment at the end of the film where they finally answer the question Who Let the Dogs Out, that I really enjoyed, and I think you will too. It's on Hulu. It's only like an hour and 5 minutes, and it's sort of it's so enjoyable. Just check it out. What's your number 13, girl?
My number 13 is First Cow.
Ooh!
First Cow. I mean, you said everything I had to say
Yeah.
about it. It's beautiful. It's very slow, but it's beautiful. It's one of the best portrayals of friendship on film. Deep, emotional friendship that is not worried about the labels of sexuality, and there's no hint of sexuality in it. It's two friends that feel so
Friends.
gay, but they're just that close of friends.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's gorgeous,
I
both
can't wait for
visually and emotionally.
I can't wait for binging with Babish to do the sweet bread,
Yeah,
the biscuits, the sweet biscuits that they do in the movie.
yeah.
I can't wait for him to make them because I really want. I just
I want him to make them, but you know how he does like a this is the accurate version to the movie, and this is a version that I think works better in some cases. I want him to do one where he's like, all right, so for this version, I have to go to someone else's cow and steal the milk.
Yeah,
I would love that. But first, cow, definitely recommend the movie, not the book.
loved it.
Patrick?
My number 12 is Crip Camp, which we talked about a lot earlier. I think it's a fantastic documentary. It's so well good. It's so well made. I didn't know anything about this, and I learned so much, and I loved the pacing of this. I love that even in the documentary, everyone's treated like normal, you know,
Yeah.
like no one is given away for the disability. It's like it's everything is fantastic. I loved it. I really loved it. It's on Netflix. Obama made it, so you know what's good. Um, and it's fantastic. Obama produced it. It's one of his movies. He
Yeah,
produced.
I'm not making
I,
a face about that being true.
I think. Listen, he won last year for best director. I bet best, not best director. He won last year for best documentary. I would love him to win 2 years in a row, especially this year. If Obama can win another Oscar,
Yeah.
I would love that. Go ahead. What's your number 12?
My number 12 is The Personal History of David Copperfield.
Now, what is that, Joshua?
This is a movie starring Dev Patel playing the character David Copperfield, not the magician. So
Anyway, my number 11.
it's I knew nothing about the original story. I didn't read the original story. I haven't seen a Muppets version of it. Uh, surprisingly, now they're gonna do Gatsby first. Come on.
Are they really doing that, or is that just what Twitter wants?
It's what Twitter wants. But
Yeah,
someone I
I
saw
honestly-
recently, someone pointed out that means we're gonna get a scene of Kermit floating dead in a pool, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're right. I didn't think about that."
Yeah.
I've seen other people non-Muppet related things where people are like, "Oh, they should do The Great Gatsby as like a social media thing," and the green light is like her recording or something like that when she's on a live stream, and I'm like, "Please, can we not? Like, I don't need that."
I don't want any of that.
But Personal History of David Copperfield's good. A lot of great characters, a lot of great
Very
acting.
Dickens. Dickens is known for his character. There's a reason why.
Yeah, well, it's good, and I liked it a lot. It's very enjoyable. It's one of those movies that like it's not perfect, but there's nothing wrong with it. I can't think of a single thing I didn't like about the movie.
Yeah, I thought it was
Personally.
fine. I wasn't insane with it.
I know during the movie you really liked it.
During it, I was like, "Oh, this is fun," but the second I walked away from it, I was just kind of like, I didn't love it the way yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, my number 11.
Mhm.
My number 11 is Bad Education. Great movie, fantastic ending, incredible performance by Hugh Jackman. It's on HBO. It's such a great movie. Allison Janney's fantastic in it. It's just a very well made movie.
Raphael Casal?
Huh?
Raphael Casal?
Right? Yeah,
Rafa?
he's in it. Yeah, Rafa's in it too. But yeah, no, it's a great movie. I definitely think you should check it out on HBO.
A lot of surprises too.
A lot of surprises. The last shot of that movie is one of my favorite shots
Of the year.
of the year. Is yeah, not I don't want to spoil.
Yeah,
it.
no, it's a great shot.
It's a great shot. It's I think about that shot constantly, and it's one of those things too where like I feel like Hugh Jackman doesn't get the credit for how good an actor he is.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of people like chalk him up to Wolverine or always being like the smiley musical guy, but he's such a great actor, and I wish he would get the respect he deserves because he was also fantastic in the Gary Hart movie. That movie was just not what we needed at that time.
Yeah.
You know?
Bad Education, very good.
Yeah.
He should get at least nominated for Best Actor, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree.
My next one, The Nest. Patrick, what did you think about The Nest?
I didn't watch it because it looked boring.
It sure did look boring.
Yeah.
Um,
And every review I saw was so vastly like it was either a great review or a terrible review, and there was no in between.
so
and I'm
all
like,
the
"Oh."
reviews I saw that were terrible, because I did experience this also, and I was nervous going into it, all the reviews were like, this isn't the sexy revenge thriller I was expecting. And I'm like, why were you expecting that? It's Carrie Coon and Jude Law. Um, it's a good movie. I think it's a great movie, in fact. It's incredibly well acted. It's very interesting. There's elements of so many different genres, none of which are erotic thriller like they all wanted, apparently. But it's so good in what it is. Highly recommended, and we are going to watch it this year. You and I.
Totally. My number 10?
Mm-hmm.
Is it there? Can I see it? It's below me? It's over the... Where is it?
It's under you.
It's under me?
It's under you. I was gonna point, but you can't see what I'm pointing to.
Yeah.
It's under the prom, basically.
So right
Under
here?
the playbill, yeah. Point
Right
down.
The Kid Detective. I fucking love this movie. It's so good. It's so enjoyable. It's Encyclopedia Brown as an adult is the easy pitch for it, but it's played like it's played like Chinatown. Like it's played straight. It's not played like for laughs. It's not like Mystery Team where it's like we're all having fun here. Everyone in that movie is in a drama, and then it just happens to be a very serious crime thriller. You know, and I mean, it just happens to be a very silly, over dumb movie, but everyone's playing it like this is like fucking, you know, the most serious like Maltese Falcon kind of dot. And again, you know what? My second favorite ending of any movie is this movie.
Yeah. There's a line in it that when it got to that line, we watched this together as well. There's a line in it where you texted me and you said this movie had to be played straight. It wouldn't work otherwise, which is a line where like there's this argument about Adam Brody's character, who's sort of this washed-up detective, and they're like, "Who are you anymore?"
Can I say what it is? The line is the father just goes, "Son, you have to." They're having dinner with his dad, and his father is. They pay all his bills and they pay his groceries, and everyone just kind of feels sorry for him. And his dad's just like, "Son, you have to move on." He stamps his. This goes, "I was given the key to the city when I was 12 years old. How do you think that makes me feel?" And I was just like, "This is incredible." Adam Brody's doing a great job. Like, it's such a silly fucking line, but he does it so real that I felt it and laughed at the same time. And it's so hard.
It's silly because it's absurd, but like it's still genuine and you feel for the character.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful movie.
I laughed out loud through all of it. It also goes.
It's so funny for a lot of stuff.
It's so It's so funny, but it's also so. It's a real mystery too. Like you're genuinely kind of like trying to figure out where they're going with it. So yeah, it's great. What's your number 10?
Next on the docket for me, my number 10th best movie of 2020. Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always.
Now let me tell you what I thought about this. I didn't watch it because it looked too sad.
I will say it's not as sad as it looked, and I think you would enjoy the movie overall. There's definitely moments in it that are so dark and sad that I literally like. I went like this at one point, just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, because it's so much. But overall, very enjoyable film, very well made, very well acted. This is her first film, the lead. She was picked out of like 500 plus girls. I
for the longest time thought it was Saoirse Ronan.
It is not. Fun fact, not Saoirse Ronan.
I thought it was her.
Put that in the IMDb trivia. The lead is not played by Saoirse Ronan.
Let me fix it.
But yeah, she is incredible in it. It's a lot more of a duo than I thought it was going in, because it's not just her; it's her and her cousin go to New York to help her get the abortion. And there's a lot of stuff with her and her cousin interacting that's just beautiful and perfectly done.
Yeah, I'll see it eventually.
Yeah, I think this is the only movie in my top 10 that you haven't seen.
Yes.
Not to spoil stuff, but go on. Your next one.
I think you've seen everything in my top 10, right? Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Yes, I have now. I think I made an effort to do that towards the end.
I also did too, but you did.
I did add some things on literally like the 30th and the 31st. I caught like 6 movies or 7 movies that didn't unfortunately give you the chance to see them, but it's fine. You'll see them in general.
Yeah.
Your next one? Number 9?
Number 9 is Dick Johnson is Dead. I love this movie. It's a great documentary. It's a beautiful film about honestly, it's as much as it's about like this and that, it's just about a woman dealing with the fact that like her father has dementia and like what that means to live with. And it's so beautifully done. It's so wonderfully shot. the philosophy of it, I really connected to. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this film a whole bunch. It's on Netflix. Please watch it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's also very funny. I wasn't expecting how funny it was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My next one is Feels Good Man. Feels Good Man is a documentary about Pepe the Frog. Everyone knows Pepe the Frog. He's a Twitch emote in here. Let me drop that in. Find him real quick. I can't find him.
Oh, that's fine.
Pepe the Frog. Everyone knows him. Most people love him. He was adopted by the alt-right, and this is a documentary about how that happened, as well as the implications of that, what that means going forward for the character, what the effect that had on the director. Honestly, this movie is so close to being, even though it's my number, 9?
Yeah.
It's so close to being number 1, if only it focused a little bit more on the effect it had on the creator. Because I loved that element, and I feel like because he's such a shy, super not like personal person, not that he's antisocial, because he seems very sweet and very kind, but he seems very like secluded and like, hey, I'm gonna live my life and just sort of like keep away from the spotlight. Yeah. Because of that, we didn't get much of how it affected him in his life, and I really wanted to see more of that.
I agree.
Other than that, though, it's still such an incredible movie about like such a weird thing, and it led to me reading one of my favorite books of all time, which is It Came From Something Awful, which is about 4chan and how that led to the alt-right, and because they interviewed Dale Barron in it, who wrote that book, and it's fascinating stuff. Patrick, your number 8.
My number 8 is I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I love this movie. I know you hated it, but I love this movie so much. It is fascinating. It's so interesting. It's so weird. It's almost, you know what, it rewards you when you finally figure out what's going on at the end. It rewards you for a rewatch, because I've seen it twice now. The second time I watched it, it's fucking oh god, what's his name? Jesse Plemons is so great as there's like little things you notice. Jesse Buckley is also is so fantastic. The Tony Collette and is great. David, how do you say his last name? David Thurance or whatever. Everyone's so fantastic. The ending of this movie is, you know what it is? I feel like there's a lot of things I'm saying right now are just like, well, the third act is great, you know, and I feel like that's where my bar is. Like, you can have if you have a slow middle, that's fine as long as your third act's great. But also, I really loved every choice in this film. I love Charlie Kaufman, and I almost didn't watch this movie because you hated it, and you told me that you hold on.
I wanted you to watch The Nest instead.
Yeah, and I'm so glad I didn't, because I absolutely love this movie. But also, you hated it, and I was just like, oh, okay, you know, I've heard mixed things. And then you said something about, I said, is it, I said something where you said like, oh, it's kind of like Schenectady, New York, where it doesn't really make sense. And Schenectady, New York is one of my favorite films of all time. So like when you said that and you were just like that is like a bad thing, I was like, oh, you don't get, okay, no, let me see this. And I'm so glad I did, because
I wouldn't say it's that I don't get it. I would say that it's not.
No. I'm saying you don't get my taste in these weird type of movies, to the point where if you think Schenectady, New York is like a negative.
I don't think I ever said you wouldn't like the movie, though. I said you wouldn't like it as much as The Nest, which remains to be seen. But yeah. I don't think I said you wouldn't like it. I think I just preferred you to see The Nest because I thought you would like that more.
Yeah. When I see The Nest, I'll let everyone at home know that I liked I'm Thinking of Ending Things more. Yeah, it also moved up when I rewatched it, too. Like, originally I think it was like 12 or 13, and then I rewatched it, and then after rewatching it, I'm like, oh my god, this is so much better. Because there's so many, it's so beautifully contained, okay. And it's so good. I love it so much. It's stuck with me, and I can't wait to see it for a third time, to be honest. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is Bad Education. We talked about this movie already. It's great. We all agree. We love it. It's beautifully acted by everyone involved. It's an interesting story. It's a biopic Not a documentary, but it sort of covers a interesting topic that easily a documentary could have done, but instead it does it as a biopic, which I love. Especially, I love that it stresses the fact that yes, they did a bad thing, but they still love these kids. It's not like they're taking advantage of the system purely for selfish reasons. They do care about the kids, and they're just sort of rewarding themselves for all the hard work they do for the kids.
Yeah.
And if we just paid teachers more, maybe this shit wouldn't happen.
There it is. There it is.
Patrick?
My number seven is Bloody Nose, Empty Pockets. I absolutely love this movie. It is an improvised film, and it worked for me on so many levels. It's very weird. I would say that it's not for everyone, but it's great. This is a movie. The more I learned about it, the more I enjoyed it. When I first finished it, I told you when I first finished it, I absolutely loved it. I was like, that's
because I got it in virtual cinemas, and I was like, oh, Patrick will love this. So I had you watch it, and then I purposefully didn't tell you anything about it going in, and then I didn't tell you until it ended that it was not, in fact, spoilers, in fact, a documentary.
It's played like a documentary of like the last night of this dive bar.
Yeah.
And then you follow these people. It's great. And then it turns out that it's not a documentary. They just found real people and told them to pretend they've all gone to this dive bar before. And there's one real actor in there who goes in and kind of creates tension and scenes. It's a beautiful theater piece that just happened to be filmed, and it's so well made. It's so well made and so enjoyable, and the conversation, it's so real and grounded. And I loved it. Yeah, check it out if it ever becomes available. What's your number 7? I think we talked about it at length also.
Yeah, mine is Transhood. Like you said, it's beautiful. I'm so excited for all these kids and like the life they get to lead. There's so many parts about it that went in directions I didn't expect. There is a character in it, and I won't say in what way or which character, but there's not a character, but a person becomes problematic. Mm-hmm. One of the people in the movie becomes problematic by the end of the film, and it's so interesting to see that journey they go on, because obviously they're in the wrong. Uh-huh. But to see that where they started the movie, because you see so many times where people progress forward and they learn, and they're like, "Oh, I'm transphobic," but then I stop being transphobic.
Which is what happened in the film where I texted you, "Oh, I hate this mother," because she gets transphobic and she says something really upsettingly transphobic, and then I'm like, "Oh, she's the villain. I hate this." And then at the end of the film, I'm like, "Oh my god, this was the woman who changes her mind and says the worst thing I hear in the whole documentary."
It's fascinating, and I'm so glad they kept that, because I felt like they could have easily, because this movie is very optimistic, I would say, but it could have easily cut that part to make it continue to stay completely optimistic at the end, but they kept that in, which I really appreciated, because you never see people like that, so it is fascinating to see.
Yep.
All right, next.
My number 6 is a film that Joshua doesn't get because he's stupid. He's a dumb, stupid idiot, and he doesn't like fun. This movie's called Soul. I love Soul. No, it's I understand why you didn't connect to it the way I did. I really connected to this in a lot of ways.
I feel like we got different things out of it, I'll say.
Yeah. I really loved the main character, Joe Gardner. I actually bought a Joe Gardner pop only yesterday. I really I loved it. I love this film so much. I mean, I think it's been said 1,000 times where it's a beautiful, you know what it is, I will say, is a lot of my fear going into it, and I feel like there's some people who going into this were like, oh, it's just like Coco or Inside Out. This is so different, but I feel like this is a continuation. I feel like
it's in the same
it's in the same
new genre,
but I feel
Pixar's
like
made.
it's more of a continual like progression than just some of the, it's not the same ideas. It's very different. Where I feel like this and Inside Out are such beautiful companion pieces, and Pete Docter has just become it's just such a great filmmaker. What's your number 6, Joshua?
My number 6 is Bacurau. Bacurau, which is a city in Brazil. I mean, I think it is. I can't find it on any maps. A town, sorry. I can't find it on any maps, but
Stop
Shut up!
Stop.
That would have been such a good, subtle clue if you hadn't called attention to it.
Because it's so good. I'm so sorry.
But yeah, it's. I also tried to find a different poster, but this poster is so beautiful. It's an incredible movie that I heard about because Karsten Rundquist watched it. And I follow his letterbox and watch his things, and he saw it and he liked it. I don't think he loved it, but he liked it a lot. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh my god, this is... Patrick especially, I think, would love it. And we'll see. We haven't seen it on his list yet. So maybe he hated it. We don't know. Maybe.
We'll never know.
We'll never know. But I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was a beautiful movie that was... I don't want to say too much, but it's about a town where weird things start to happen.
Yeah.
That's all I knew going in, and that's all you need to know going in. Just trust us. It's worth seeing, at the very least.
Yeah.
Patrick, your next one?
My number 5 feels good, man. I loved it. I mean, I think you said everything I was thinking about, but the one thing I will say is what I really enjoy in documentaries is when they really use the medium, you know? And this uses the medium well, where they have whole animated sequences with ideas, and it really makes it just one of the most entertaining films I've seen all year.
Yeah, I love it.
It's in my top 5. It's in my top 5 for a reason.
Yeah.
And I do agree the dude is a little too laid back to... I want to see him lose his mind a little bit, but I will say there's moments where he kind of freaks out over all of this. And yeah, I just feel so bad for this dude. But then also he came out on top, you know? So in the sense of like he's moved on and has now tried to use his powers for good, I guess, essentially.
Yeah.
I
bought the book.
There's a moment I really love in this movie where he goes to the hate crime association to get the Pepe image off the national symbol of like hate, and the dude is just like, no, I'm not going to take it off. He goes, no, I created him. And he goes, no, I'm not taking it off. He goes, no, he's a silly stoner frog, please take it off. And the guy goes, oh, I'm so sorry, dude. No, I can't, like my hands are tied, I can't remove him off the national hate list. He's like, okay, cool, please, can I have my little frog back? And he's just like, no, dude, I can't help you here, man. It's so heartbreaking. There's
a part in the trailer I like that's in the movie when they're interviewing him for like a deposition against Alex Jones, when they're suing Alex Jones, and there's a part where the lawyer's like, Pepe, why did you call him Pepe? And he goes, because it sounds like pee-pee. And I was like, what a pure man, what a pure like gentleman.
He's a hippie stoner
little sweetheart
who made a silly thing, and then the fucking Nazis ruined it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels good. What's your number 5, Josh?
My number 5, top 5 now.
Yeah.
Yours feels good, man. Mine is Sound of Metal. A movie I went into with such high expectations because I heard so much about how good it is. And you know what? It hits it. It hits those marks. It's incredible. I love the sign language in it. I was messaging a friend of mine, Dylan, who saw it, and he loved it as well. One note he had about it was that he kind of wishes that, because as I was watching it, I was like, oh, I kind of like how they don't have captions for the sign language because he doesn't understand it, and that puts us in his shoes. But at the same time, it is an issue in the deaf community where not every deaf person knows sign language, so some of them may be frustrated that they can't just read the captions for this, because there wasn't an option on Amazon to put captions for those scenes. And I thought that was a really interesting choice they made. And then Dylan said, yeah, I would like it if they... Sorry to out Dylan about this, but Dylan said I would like it if at a certain point when he began to learn sign language a little easier or better, they would put captions in. And then that happened, and I was like, Dylan, they did do that. Like halfway through the movie.
Oh, he can't read. Okay.
Hey.
Yeah, there's definitely the moment where he realizes how to speak. When he learns sign language, he...
I think he was just doing other things while he watched it, so maybe he didn't notice. But it's a beautiful movie, and it's definitely worth a rewatch, Dylan.
Coward. He's not watching this. He doesn't care. All right, who's
But I love the movie, and it's worth seeing. Everyone should see it.
my number 4
Your number 4.
is
Final 4.
40-year-old virgin.
Sorry, what? What?
Virgin. 40-year-old virgin. Sorry, I'm drunk. I love this movie so much. I watched it while cooking, and I stopped cooking so I can pay attention to the film. It's so incredible. Rada is so
Rada Black.
Rada Black is so incredible. I ended up finding her play online and read it, and it's a great play that she won a bunch of awards for years ago.
The
It's just
Harlem
this-
one?
Which one?
The one about.
Not the one the movie's about.
Okay.
The one that she like won a bunch of awards for like 10 years ago is based on an actual thing that she won.
Okay.
But it's so great. It's so fantastic. I was just talking about this the other day with a friend of mine. How real this is. Because there's a musical from now you got me talking about this. There's a musical from 1967 called Hallelujah Baby. It won the Tony for Best Musical, and it was written by a bunch of white people about the black experience in the first 60 decades of the 20th century, and it is it's a terrible musical, but it won Best Musical because it was like, look at all those black people on stage telling their story, but it wasn't their story. It's a bunch of white guys saying what their story is. And now the musical has been completely forgotten. It was a flop, even though it won Best Musical. And we were talking about like how crazy it is that happened. And then, the person, my friend Joelle, who we were talking about, she goes, 4-Year-Old Virgin just had that in the thing where it was the white people need a white character to connect to, and they took this black work and made it into something that is palatable to a white audience, and how that still happens. But it's just, I just love that Rada's midlife crisis is to become a rapper, and then she's great at it, and it's a new expression, and you're always learning, you're always building, and like you're always like doing it's just shot so well, and you can see the influence of like Spike Lee and stuff like that. It's so fucking well made. I absolutely love this film. I think about this maybe daily.
Okay.
Josh, your number 4.
My number 4 is Benjamin. Benjamin, we talked about earlier. It is the guy from Merlin, and he is a anxious little queer artist, and I think it's very witty. It's very fun, but it still has those emotional moments because you can tell the whole time. Every time it's being witty, you can tell he is covering something. He is trying to cover up his insecurities and his anxiety. And there are moments where he's like talking about his insecurities and anxieties that are so clearly like still at a distance from what they actually are. Like he's talking about like, oh, I don't think this shot works in my next movie. I don't think this works, blah, blah, blah. But he's not addressing the root issue, which is just sort of his personality and his anxieties built into him.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. And I love it more and more I watch it.
Great.
Yep.
My number 3 is Sound of Metal. I love this movie. It's so well made. It's the performance. It's the best performance of the year. I think it's one of the best performances ever, to be honest, with oh my god, I'm blanking. Riz Ahmed. And Riz Ahmed is just so fucking incredible. My brother just happened to be walking by when I was like 20 minutes in, and as he was walking on his way back, kind of watched a little bit, and then ended up sitting there and watching the entire film. And we just sat there and just watched it in total silence, just enjoying this movie. He ended up towards the end of it, he's like, all right, I gotta go back to what I was doing. I guess I'll watch this later. And as he walked away, I think one of the best moments of the movie happens.
At the end of the movie?
Towards the end of the movie, with the two characters in bed,
Yep.
happens. And I literally called it back, and then I rewinded it. We watched it, and he just sat there for the rest of it. It's such a great movie. And because it's one of those movies, too, where the character does something where you're like, no, you're fucking, no, don't, you're going backwards. And then he still learns from it, and it's beautiful. I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah, I love it. I need to rewatch it.
It's so good.
But I do love it. As you saw, it's my number 5.
That's my number 3. All right, what's your number 3?
My number 3, top 3.
Yes, top 3. Here we go.
Mophie.
Oh, okay.
I know you didn't love this movie. I loved it. I love quiet queer films that are omni. This isn't a word, but omni anxious,
All right.
where there's like a constant sense of anxiety around everything, even though it's not explicitly said.
Mhm.
So this character is queer and dealing with a lot of queer phobia. Mophie, for those who don't know, is the equivalent of the uh, the gay slur that begins with an F. I don't want to say it. I have no problem saying it because we're reclaiming it, but I don't want to say it on stream.
I can't say it either.
Nope, not on stream because I don't know if it is one that would get me pulled.
Uh,
But Mophie is the equivalent of that in Afrikaans. It is a movie about him being queer, being drafted into the military, and having to keep that secret because he will be beaten, embarrassed in front of the entire platoon, and then sent to a facility where he will be kept with people who are like truly insane and dangerous. And it doesn't deal much with that trauma, but that's what I love about it is that it doesn't engage with that trauma because you know it's there, and it engages with it enough to show you that this is happening behind the scenes and that this
and that
is
was my
an
issue.
issue. Yes, you did not like that it wasn't trauma porn.
That no, but it wasn't that I didn't like it was trauma porn. It felt at some points they were avoiding it completely. And then my other big problem with it is a movie that's about apartheid barely has any apartheid in it, and that was my biggest issue
It's
with it.
not about apartheid. It's during
But
apartheid.
it's during apartheid, and then there's not even like the idea of a black person until towards the end of the film, and it's not even really a moment. It's too focused on whiteness without the negativity of the whiteness. So that was my issue going. I had a lot of issues with this movie
Yeah.
outside of the fact that I've said before, a lot of what you loved about it and told me you loved about it was done better, I think, in Full Metal Jacket,
Which I did not see.
which you have not seen.
No.
So, and Full Metal Jacket also deals with queerness, just not as explicitly. And even in this, I felt like it wasn't as explicit.
Yeah, it was explicit that he was queer, but what I loved about it was that it wasn't explicit about his fears and anxieties, and I loved that it was like not hinted at because it showed you what would happen, but it was always a thing where it's like is he's on like this he's right before the line. If he gets caught, all of that's going to happen to him. So I was constantly stressing for this character. I also love the ending, which I don't think you liked, but I love the ending. And I
Again,
recommend it.
this movie was enjoyable, but I did not like it as much as you did.
Yeah, no, that's clear. That's my top 10 now. We're in my top 3. Back to your top 3. What's your number 2?
My number two is Wolfwalkers. I love this movie. I think the animation's gorgeous. I think the score is unbelievably gorgeous. I the same thing you did with Promising Young Woman. I did with this. I literally bought the vinyl of Wolfwalkers
That makes
because it's
sense.
so gorgeous. The music's so gorgeous. The animation's gorgeous. The story's beautiful. Um, and I mean, like, also, like, it's a thing too. Is just like um, I was raised much more Irish than you were. So I was raised with a very strong hatred of the English. And this movie, essentially, as much as it's about like little girls and werewolves, it's about an English girl realizing like we should just let the Irish be. We need to let the wolves have their forest, essentially. And I love that a lot. Sean Bean is so good in it. It's just his voice. There's a moment where his voice cracks towards the end of this film that I teared up, and I've watched this twice, maybe three times now. I've teared up when he says the line that I don't want
Hmm.
to spoil it, but he says a line in it to his daughter, and I do agree a little bit where it's like it almost gets really dark all the time and then pulls back a little bit. But I do think it's because it is a kids movie. As much as it is like a family film, this is like a children's film. But again,
Yeah.
the studio that made it, oh god, what's the name of the studio? Um, it's something studio. Um, they also did Song of the Sea, Secret of the Kells, and The Breadwinner, and their films, every single one of their, they have just upped their game every time. Where like every time I see one of their movies, I just can't believe that one, it's an animated film, and just the gorgeous and beauty of these films. So I loved Wolf Walkers. I'm sad it's on a platform like Apple Plus, because it's like there. This is one of those things
Yeah.
that I'm like, oh, it's too many fucking streaming services. Because I kept trying to tell people like, oh, it's really good. It's on Apple Plus. They're like, oh, I don't have it. I'm like, steal it. I steal it. I steal Apple Plus. I don't have an Apple Plus. I'm not a fucking millionaire. I don't have all these streaming services. It's you get a barter system going. All right. What do you got? Apple Plus? I'll give you a Disney Plus, and then you fucking you do your things. But it's
We
so good.
here at Now Showing do not promote or endorse the idea of stealing movies from companies.
And we here at Not Pat Riley on YouTube say fuck them. They got enough money. Joshua, what's your number two?
My number 2 is Shithouse. Remember how earlier during Spontaneous I mentioned that I cried a lot during the movie?
Yes.
Why did I cry during that movie? This movie, I bawled my fucking eyes out.
Hey, understandable.
Yeah, I cried so much at the end, and I remember early on you were not getting that because I told you because I watched it by myself, and then we watched it together because I made you, and there was a part early on where you were like, "Why did you bawl from this? What made you bawl about this? It's just some fucking loser in college who's struggling." And then as it went on, you realized, oh, because it's got a lot of similarities to things in your own life. As I said, this is similar to Brittany Runs a Marathon, although you ended up liking this one more than you did that one.
Oh,
But
100%.
it's one that was very personal to me as far as
Brittany
like
Run the Marathon was one that you were really obsessed with, and I saw it, and I was like, this is fine.
it's
I
a
was-
movie that I connected to on a lot
Where this
more
was like
than
when,
you
when
did.
you were you kept comparing it to that, and I'm like, I remember seeing that movie and not really liking it, and then I saw this, and I'm like,
Well, the movies
oh,
aren't the
this
same.
is-
It's my reaction to the movies.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
the fact that you were saying like you had the same reaction, and
Yeah.
going, I was like, I remember not really liking Brittany Runs a Marathon, and then I watched Shithouse, and then I was like, the first half hour of Shithouse, I was kind of like, God, I don't like this character, and then by the end of it, I'm just like, this precious boy needs to be saved from the world. So yeah, it's great.
Cooper Rafe, I love him so much. I've reached out to him on Twitter asking when they're going to get a Blu-ray release because I want to own this physically and then have a digital copy. But it's also currently only available for video on demand. So,
Yeah.
very stressed out about that. But yeah, I recommend everyone see Shithouse.
Yes.
It's on video on demand.
Can we do our number ones at the same time, because we've already talked about them anyway? So we just reveal them at the same time and then talk
Sure.
about it.
Yeah.
Why it's our number one.
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3. It's here. It is.
Kid Detective.
And mine is Baccarat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kid Detective is in the movie I loved, and you loved Baccarat also.
Mm-hmm.
Why was this your favorite movie of the year?
Well, it has, as you said, so many pieces to it, so many genres. It is a comedy. It is a mystery. It is a dark comedy. It is a drama in some parts. There are parts that are like super dramatic and sad and like really moving. But it's beautiful. It's incredibly well made on a technical level, I think. Obviously, it doesn't have like a big thing to showcase. It's not like an action movie with set pieces or anything. But it's beautiful in the sense of being well acted, well written. Yeah, I just think it's a beautiful film. It's a lot like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, I would say. If you like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, check this out. Both in the sense that it's detectives and in the sense that it's a dark comedy and
I
a
completely
mystery.
agree, and that was a selling point for me, was when you said, hey, I don't know if you've ever seen this movie called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and I'm like, oh, that was my favorite movie when I was 16. So yeah, I've seen it, and this is
one you almost didn't see this year, and then I was like, hey, you need to see this.
Well, no, it wasn't even that, hey, you need to see this, because you said the same thing about The Nest. So I'm like, I'll see it, whatever.
Yeah.
I was going to watch something. I was going to watch The Nest, actually. I was going to watch The Nest, and then you compared this movie to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and I was like, okay, let me
But
see
after you saw I'm Thinking of Ending Things, I even said to you, I think you'll like The Nest. I know you'll like The Kid Detective.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly.
and I was like, I even though I love The Nest, The Kid Detective, I like. I didn't say where I put it because I didn't want it to influence you, but I knew that it would be something up your alley.
Yeah.
And talking about favorite ending shots.
Yeah.
For bad,
100%.
you said Bad Education.
Speaking about favorite ending shots, Baccarat is I love it so much. It is it's a movie about gentrification. That's all I'm gonna say. And I love it's literally just starts with a funeral and becomes this crazy psychedelic film The fucking Spider Woman's in it. The woman from the Kiss of the woman from Kiss of Spider Woman who plays Kiss of Spider Woman. But Kiss of Spider Woman is one of the best movies ever. One of the greatest musicals ever. More importantly, but yeah,
Playing
it's
my favorite character, I would say.
playing. She's not my favorite character, but she's one of my favorite characters. I loved everything about it. I love the characters. It's like every single character in this film, the side characters. It's one of those things. I'm going to compare it to a weird choice, but kind of like how Booksmart, every time you saw a side character, you were excited to see that side character.
I agree.
In this, every time another character, because there's so many characters in this, but like one would just like turn a corner and be like, "Fuck, great, he's back! I'm so glad to see it." And then halfway through becomes this much weirder film somehow. Like it starts off very weird, and then it gets weirder, and then they explain why it's weird, and then it gets weirder somehow. Like they have a very clear explanation of what's happening and why it's happening, and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's weird." And they go, "But hold on, let's get fucking insane now." And then the last 30 minutes of the movie is just pure excitement. It's like if Quentin Tarantino sucked a dick is the best way I can describe it. Like
Hold on, that's the definition of pure excitement for you? Quentin Tarantino
I'm
sucking
saying like,
a dick?
no. I'm saying the movie is like if queer Tarantino respected women, it was like a queer person. Like that's how it's queer.
It is a weirdly queer
Tarantino.
movie. There are a couple of characters that are explicitly queer, but the
No,
whole
but like the
movie
whole
has
tone
queer
of the film is
energy.
queer.
Yeah.
It's queer energy, and then also it's just like it's hyper violent. It's almost revenge. It's almost revenge porn in some points. It's great. But yeah, the last shot of the movie is one I think about all the time. Of just like it's not over, and then bam, I loved it. The movie ends. It's fucking great. Please watch it. It's a weird Brazilian movie that, and hey, you know what? I'm not the first one to say it. I do not like Brazilian films. I've seen a ton of Brazilian films. This is what I'm upset about. It was this and then A Secret Life, which was another Brazilian film I saw, which was fine. I thought a little boring. Brazil decided to send that to the Oscars instead of this, and I think that was a big mistake because that got the Amazon release, that got like the notoriety, and I think it's a fine movie. I just don't think it's a very unique film. I think it's something we've seen 1,000 times before. Where this film, I can say, oh, it's a lot like this. I can say it's like this. I cannot compare this movie to anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
And when I made you watch this, I didn't tell you anything about it other than this is a movie you need to see, because there's so many points where you're like, what?
Yeah.
It's becoming this? And that's what I loved about it.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Joshua, thank you for coming and talking about movies that we watch together for the most part. And Joshua, you can please watch these live streams on his Twitch channel at Not Showing. Should we announce what we're going to start doing next week, or wait? What happened?
That's not the name of my channel.
What is that? Not at now? Oh, it's now. It's at now_showing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Twitch.tv/now_showing.
Let me do it again.
I'm fine with you keeping this all in.
Oh, let's keep it all in. Fine, I'll keep it all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Keep waving. I gotta pull up the end screen.
No, great, no, good.